running for Attorney General because we need a change in the Attorney General's office. Our current Attorney General has been there for 20 years as the sitting incumbent Attorney General.
Jeez.
But it's worse than that because before he became the elected Attorney General, he was the Deputy Attorney General for 10 years. So he's been in the Attorney General's office for 30 years. And just yesterday or 2 days ago, I was talking to somebody who went to law school with him. And he was telling me how he was supporting me. He's known the Attorney General for more than 30 years, for almost 40 years. And I asked him why he was supporting me. And he said because he's not the same man that he was 30 or 40 years ago, that he has changed. And I asked him why he thinks he has changed. He said he didn't know, but what he has noticed is the same thing that I have noticed, that the Attorney General does not think that he represents the people of Idaho. He thinks that he represents the bureaucracy of Idaho. He doesn't think that he represents the people of Idaho. He thinks he represents the governor of Idaho. He doesn't think that he represents the people of Idaho. He thinks he represents the government of Idaho. And that's a problem, and it's a big problem because it actually highlights every decision that he makes in the state. And I wish I were here exaggerating. You know, I've had also the fortune of being in all these races where the person who's running against me is always saying, hey, I'm just as conservative as Raul. I'm just the same way. In this race, I don't have that. I have an opponent who says I'm the opposite of Raul, and he'll stand up and he will tell you that he doesn't represent you. He represents the governor and the government and the bureaucracy. But let me give you a few examples and that will highlight what this means. Right now, as you guys know, we're almost at 2 years of a state of emergency in the state of Idaho. How many of you are happy with that?
No.
Do you know why we're in a state of emergency for almost 2 years? Does anybody know what the statute, the legislature actually granted the governor the power to issue a state of emergency? Do you know how long that state of emergency was supposed to last for? 30 days. And then it was supposed to be an additional 30 days, so it's a total of 60 days. We're in a state of emergency because the Attorney General of the state of Idaho said that 30 plus 30 could mean 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. We were in a debate a couple of weeks ago and I highlighted that, and he said that his job is to figure out how to interpret the law in a way that benefits what the governor wants to do.
Wow.
That's not what the Attorney General is supposed to do. What the Attorney General is supposed to do is to interpret the law in a way that it protects the Constitution of the state of Idaho, the laws of the state of Idaho, and the people of the state of Idaho. So for the last... So unfortunately, the governor kind of stole my thunder because I've been asked at all these events what the first thing I was going to do when I became the Attorney General. I said the first thing I'm going to do is going to end the state of emergency. But now he has announced that on April 15th, he's going to end the state of emergency. I'm going to have to find something else to do on the first day. Let me give you a second example. We are in the middle of a constitutional crisis where the governor of the state of Idaho and the lieutenant governor of the state of Idaho are fighting each other all the time. And the law is being misinterpreted. As all of you know, the Idaho Constitution is really clear. The Idaho Constitution says that when the governor of the state of Idaho leaves, who becomes the acting governor of the state of Idaho? The lieutenant governor. It's a really simple phrase. It has been interpreted for 100 years in a way that everybody knows the lieutenant governor becomes the acting governor. This attorney general told the governor that it would be reasonable for him to interpret the Constitution to mean that if he leaves the state and he has access to a phone, that he can actually continue to be the acting governor of the state of Idaho. We have never interpreted the Constitution in that way. In fact, how many of you know that at one point we had a governor who was a Democrat and a lieutenant governor who was a Republican? How many of you know that? And when the governor left the state, we actually had the lieutenant governor act in a different way than the governor would act. All the governor did is he came back and he rescinded whatever the lieutenant governor did, and that's what our Constitution requires. But this Attorney General, again, he's not thinking about you, right? He's thinking about how he can protect the governor and the way he wants to interpret the Constitution. Then I'm going to give you a third example. We have a family in North Idaho that bought a very large piece of land. This family purchased the land and they found a puddle in the land. I don't know the size of the puddle, but it was some water, significant water. And the EPA came in and told them that that water needed to be protected under the EPA, the Waters of the USA section of the Clean Water Act. Who knows what that means, that when you have water on your property, that it has to be protected by the Clean Water Act? That means that, what?
You have to corral it, because you get to do that.
You have to corral it, and then everything you want to build on your property, you have to get a permit from the federal government. You have to actually ask permission of the federal government if you want to build a home, if you want to build a barn. Anything you build on that property now is subject to regulation. The family, as a good Idaho family, told the EPA to go pound sand. And the EPA decided to fine them, and they started fining them on a daily basis, and now it's in the hundreds of thousands of fines. The family sued the EPA in the federal courts, and the EPA argued that they didn't have jurisdiction, that the family did not have what we call standing in the courts. They could not sue the family. Family went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and at the U.S. Supreme Court, several Republican attorneys general joined the family in the lawsuit. Several members of Congress, including myself when I was in Washington, D.C., joined the family. Do you know who was missing? Wasden was missing. The Attorney General of the state of Idaho did not join the family, but it gets better than that, all right? The family won at the U.S. Supreme Court, and they went back down to the district court, and they fought all the way back to the Supreme Court. They're before the Supreme Court again. There's now 23 Republican attorneys general that have joined this family in this fight. Guess who's missing from that fight? Our own attorney general is missing from that fight. To finish this story, 2 weeks ago we were in the debate, and I was hitting him with this information, and he said, well, I'm going to join them now. So after the family's been fighting for almost 10 years in the courts, he's going to join them now. This Attorney General has been missing or late to every major fight that we have had in the United States over the last few years. The best battles, the biggest battles for the soul of our nation are happening in the courts right now. We need an aggressive Attorney General. If you read about me in the newspapers are against me because they say that I'm going to be too aggressive as an Attorney General. We need an aggressive Attorney General. So I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you have had an attorney in your life that you have had to hire an attorney in your lives? So when you've hired an attorney, if you no longer trust your attorney, what do? Fire. It's time to fire the Attorney General of the state of Idaho. I'm Raul Labrador. I hope to be your next Attorney General.